What's up guys, my name's Teddy and today I'll be giving you my comprehensive guide on base building as a Town Hall 12 that helped me get to Legends League. Now we'll be hopping into it, and first off we'll be starting with just looking at my base that I currently run. So my base is mostly against dragons and electro dragons, so you can see that I have very little zap value with my air defenses, with little air targeting defenses near my air defenses. And also I have my sweepers positioned to sweep away from the middle of my base, and the core is pretty separated from the rest of the base, just to make things a little harder, and I'm running all single Inferno towers, so this will be very helpful against dragons. You can also notice that I have my heroes on the side. The heroes will mess up with some of the pathing and also will be annoying when you're starting to attack from either of the sides. Now this base isn't perfect, but it did the job and it got me to Legends. In this guide, I'll be going over some general tips that you should follow whenever base building, and these are some tips that can be applied whether you're building a farming base or a war base or any sort of Town Hall 12 base. Now let's talk about spreading the value equally among your base. Starting off with the most important part of the base, balancing all of the value. So once you hit Town Hall 12, your Town Hall becomes weaponized, so it becomes a key defense when you're building your base. Also, a few other key defenses are your 3 Infernos, your Eagle, your Heroes, and maybe even Expos. But I'll be mainly focusing on the Infernos, the Eagle Artillery, and the Town Hall. One thing you do not want to do is group up these defenses like this. This is very susceptible to zaps, earthquakes, fireballs, giant arrows, you name it. So you want to spread it out pretty evenly around the base so that people can't really get good value with them. So you can see me just playing around with these 5 core defenses and making sure that usually you don't hit 3 or more of them with a giant arrow, and you can't hit 2 or more of them with a fireball. So there's many different ways to run these types of bases, but you can just play around with it, see what you like, what works well for you, and decide from there. But usually I like to keep 1 Inferno kind of close to the Town Hall, and 2 Infernos off to the sides, and an Eagle opposite of the Town Hall. This usually works pretty well because if people want a 3-star, they're going to be attacking usually from the Eagle side, so they'll end up taking the Town Hall last, which is a little bit tricky sometimes for them. So this makes for a very good war base if you put the Eagle and the Town Hall on the opposite side of the base. What you can also do as a Town Hall 12 is actually layer a few of your defenses onto the same side of the base. So as you can see, I'm putting my Town Hall and Eagle pretty much on that same right to bottom side, and then that way you can trap against it by maybe putting the heroes on the back end of the base to make things difficult when they're cleaning it up. And also you can consider putting your Tesla farm in the back left, or also maybe putting your sweepers pointing toward the place that you think they'll come from. Sweepers are very strong against air attacks, obviously, so if you make sure to put a few sweepers facing the way you think or you want them to come from, it'll help a lot against attacks, and they'll either have to arrow it or they'll have to zap it out. So this is a very good tip when you're building your bases, just to place the sweepers in the right direction. So now that you know the basics of spreading your value evenly across the base, we'll be going into compartments and be talking about the key compartments that you'll be using as a Town Hall 12 to defend against other Town Hall 12 attacks. Our first compartment we have here is a 7x7 compartment. This is very anti-queen walk, as you can see that if you're attacking from the cannon side of things, you can't really reach the archer towers. This also pairs very well with spring traps, that's why I put one in the middle like that. Next we have our 8x8s, which are very anti-electro dragon. And as you can see, these pair well with hidden Teslas and giant bombs because you can hide them in between the spaces there. Next up we have our 2 different types of Inferno comps. So as you can see, Inferno comps are unwalkable if they're in either of these shapes. So you can put a lot of defenses surrounding the Infernos just to tank for them for a little, or you can also put elixir storages and gold storages in order to tank as well. So these are very solid because it's just very annoying as an attacker because your queen doesn't reach inside, so that they have to always break into this wall, jump into this wall, or earthquake the wall to get in. So it's very useful against queen-centered attacks. So you can see I'm just putting in some of the common defenses and storages that you see surrounding an inferno usually. These are just to provide tanking and also distract troops while the inferno burns through the troops. You can see I switched to a Barb King because he has a lot of HP, so he can help tank for the inferno as long as possible. Now that you know about compartments, let's talk about pathing and using channels effectively to create dead space and route troops where they don't want to go. So these red arrows indicate where hogs and witches would go, and that white arrow shows where skeletons would go. Now that I reveal my trap placements, you can see that I trapped accordingly so that these witches, hogs, or skeletons will be taken out in the correct manner. As you can see, I have giant bombs waiting to hit the hog riders and the witches, a hidden Tesla to help thin the herd, and also a mortar that reaches the outside where the skeletons will be hitting. So this is a very effective way to deal with witches, super witches, and also hog riders. Even works against miners as well. This mini base shows how hard it would be to hit that multi-target inferno in the middle. Now let's talk about trap placements, starting with the small bombs. Small bombs are very effective at stopping wall breakers from breaking into key compartments of your base. You can see that I have a small bomb in between the two spell factories. This stops a queen from getting access to both the Inferno Tower and the Town Hall. And this is placed 3 tiles away from that wall so that the wall breakers die before hitting the wall. You also don't want to put small bombs behind buildings because wall breakers won't really reach them, and they're also too close to the wall sometimes, so the wall breakers will just break the wall anyways. Small bombs can also be paired with giant bombs in order to create double giant bombs. 3 small bombs equal 1 giant bomb. Giant bombs should be on the outside of the base and work well with mortars, but you should never place them next to the town hall or other bomb towers because people will be healing and wardening through these areas anyways, so these will be a waste to put giant bombs there. Now we can talk a little bit about spring traps. Spring traps are great against hogs, miners, and ice golems. You usually place them on the corner of buildings or in the middle when you're connecting buildings like that. Some people leave holes in their bases, and this is a pretty effective way to use spring traps as well. You don't really want to put spring traps next to walls because they are less effective that way. Now we can talk about some of the more advanced traps and also the air traps. Personally, I like to use the tornado trap to defend against blimps and other types of siege machines. You can see here that I have my sweepers facing in this direction in this mock base. You can see that if I turn on scout mode, the sweepers have a hole where a blimp can fly through easily and get some great value with the Eagle Artillery and the Inferno Tower. But when I reveal my traps, you can see that there's actually a tornado trap there, which can sometimes mess up someone's blimp and make them fail whatever they're trying to do, whether it's a Yeti bomb or they're just trying to blizzard my Eagle out. So this is a very effective way to trap against that. Now let's talk about the Seeking Air Mines, aka the black bombs. These are very good against high hit point air troops, and you usually put them next to air defenses, Eagle Artilleries, Town Halls, or Inferno Towers. So these are pretty key to defending against dragons, blimps, air wardens, etc. So you can also put these on the outside of the base to kind of counter warden walks and queen walks, but that's not very recommended since they might be a waste. And also skeleton traps are very well paired with Inferno Towers, and you can also put them next to your town halls as well and your heroes to stall for time while these things DPS down any attacking troops. Now let's talk about the most important Town Hall 12 trap, the Hidden Tesla. The Hidden Teslas are utilized in many different ways, and one of their main uses is actually routing troops to different buildings. As you can see here in scout mode, people can think that they can attack from the top air defense and just work their way into the multi-target inferno right there. But it's actually a lot harder than you think when you put the Teslas into the equation, because now the Teslas will be routing troops around the inferno instead of towards it. So if troops are hitting cannons near that air defense, they'll move from the cannon to the Tesla and then around instead of going into the base, into the multi-inferno tower. Another use of the Teslas is actually using them to make people miss giant arrows and also just messing up with people's troop placements. For example, you can see a juicy 3 Inferno Tower lineup for a Queen's Giant Arrow right here. If they place a Queen next to that builder hut, they're able to heavily damage all 3 Infernos. But what you can do is you can put a hidden Tesla right next to that, so that when they put the queen down, the queen will automatically target the Tesla first instead of the builder hut. Thus, if they miss their giant arrow, they can mess up their entire attack. Alternatively, you can also use other traps, such as skeleton traps, to mess up with the queen's giant arrow as well. This also works in delaying a warden on his warden walk if they're trying to fireball things. Another use of Teslas is using them in a Tesla farm. So Tesla farms are usually a group of 3 or more Teslas that pop up on one section of a base that DPS down whatever's coming that way. So this is a great way to surprise attackers, and I like to bunch maybe 3, maybe 4 Teslas together in order to heavily DPS some of these troops that might be coming in. This is pretty effective to have on the back end of your base, just to finish off troops when they're trying to clean up the base. You can see in this mini base that I'm baiting people to attack from the bottom, and once they finally reach the top, they'll get hit with a Tesla farm that hopefully ruins their attack there. Now let's look at trash buildings, a very important but not talked about part of base building. As demonstrated here, an Electro Dragon or a Bowler can get great value off of that dark elixir storage. So what you want to do is build your base like the bottom part of this base. You make sure that you cover your defenses with low hit point buildings, that way boulder bounces and Electro Dragons can't really hit them. So here, E-Drags can't hit them because of the range of the tiles anyways, but this prevents boulder bounces from getting great value on your defenses. Now we have an example of a bad compartment, so I'd like you to pause the video before we move on and I fix it. So let's start off with the zap value that you provide for the attacker. The attacker is able to zap out many of the air hitting defenses at the same time. Also, there's great Electro Dragon chain value and bowler bounce value with the trash buildings outside. The spring trap is not in an optimal place, and the red air bomb is right next to an air defense, which you don't really like to see because usually lava hounds will be pulling that air bomb instead of balloons. You can see me also moving and increasing the compartment size by 1. So that you can avoid value from queen walks, because queens will no longer reach all the buildings in this compartment. And also I optimized my spring trap placement to kind of be able to hit more troops, and you can see me moving around my defenses to stop that chain value on Electro Dragons and Bowler Bounces. Now here's an example of a better compartment where you have better trash buildings on the outside and no zap value for the air defenses. You can see in this compartment there's better building synergies with an elixir storage to tank for dragons, while also having better traps. You can see that Seeking Air Mine synergizes very well with the air defense, and as well as the bomb tower next to the air defense. I'll also be putting a sweeper here on the side. While it is within zap range of that air defense, it's a very hard zap to hit, so it could make some people mess up. This is another bad base design, and I'd like you to pause the video and see if you can find out what is wrong with this design. Now I will annotate the base and show you all the design flaws, and I hope you were able to catch all of the design flaws that I put in there. Now let's talk about a base that I improved with a very similar layout. As you can see, many of the core defenses and compartments are still the same. So you're actually able to make a big difference in your base building by just tweaking where you're putting these buildings. So hopefully you're able to learn a little bit about traps and building placements from this video, and hopefully you'll be able to apply it into your next base. Now let's move into the live building section of my video tutorial. So here you can see that I already started the base off with a general layout in mind with my value spread on my key defenses. You can see that my Infernos are off to the side and my Town Hall's at the top, and my Eagle is opposite of the Town Hall. So I'm running all single Inferno towers because of the mass dragons that I'm seeing, so this helps out a lot with it. And I'm starting off my base by building from the Town Hall side of things and moving downwards. So you can see I'm just building off of my more important defenses first, and trying to balance value as I go along. I'm playing around with compartment sizes to see what fits and what doesn't. I also like to play around with which heroes I'm using. Usually I like to use my queen almost all the time, and then also having the minion prince and the warden, but I do like to swap out my warden with my king sometimes because the king does provide some great tanking and stalling. As you can see, I'm placing my expos and my storages 2 tiles away from that air defense to make sure that none of it splashes onto that, because Electro Dragons can get some really great chain value on storages especially. Now you can see me just placing out more of my air defenses and making sure that none of them can be really providing a ton of arrow value, because a lot of people like to giant arrow. You can see me struggling here with building an Inferno Tower that can't be walked, but I figure out that compartment down pretty quickly and I move on. So you want to make sure that everything is more than 4 tiles away from the Inferno Tower. So this is a nice compartment that stops people from queen walking into it. Next up, I'm just making a middle core compartment. I'm putting some heroes in there and a sweeper that isn't able to be zapped by the air defense at the same time, so it just provides less value for the attacker. You can also see that a giant arrow pathing through those middle 2 air defenses won't also hit the sweeper as well. So this just makes it a little harder for people using that giant arrow to get value on their arrow and air attacks. Now I'm just playing around with walls a little more, making sure that none of these compartments provide too much value for walking around with the queen and getting insane value. You can really see my way of thought here with making sure that nothing is walkable, especially my core defenses. Now I have a good skeleton of the base down, and I'm just thinking about where I should be expanding this base since I still have 100 walls left. I decided to move my eagle compartment down by 1 tile to create that nice little channel there. Now I'm deciding where to put my clan castle. Clan's castle troops are a very important part of defense, especially in wars. But they're actually not super important in Town Hall 12 because most of the armies steamroll any base anyways. But I like to put ice golems in this clan castle because it just stalls so well. Additionally, headhunters and rocket loons also work pretty well. So I suggest using some of those troops in your next clan castle defense. Now you can see me putting more storages around my air defense just because they provide no zap value and also some great tanking for other air troops. You can see me also placing my wizard towers next to the eagle artillery because they provide some great synergy, preventing people from bombing the eagle artillery. Also, I'm very careful with putting zap value next to air defenses because every little thing counts. Now you can see me struggling on where to put my wizard towers because I do not want to provide someone with great bat value, so I'm making sure to spread out my wizard towers as evenly as possible without putting them next to air defenses. You can see here that I compromised and put one next to an air defense. Usually the synergy isn't too good with wizard towers next to air defenses because they'll just lock onto lava hounds and then just waste their time shooting at a lava hound. So usually you want them a little further away from air defenses, but that's the thing about base building. You can't always get exactly what you want, so sometimes you do have to make compromises to defend against attacks you're more likely to see. So I'm less likely to see a lava hound attack, so that's why I'm compromising and putting that there. You can see me also putting my sweepers in a way that baits a blimp attack from the eagle artillery, so that's why I put my tornado trap there. Next up, I created a channel to make the eagle compartment a little less accessible. I also put in some more storages to tank for the air defense, and also a few defenses a little bit to the side of the air defense, just to path balloons a little more trickily for the attacker. You can see me making sure to put trash correctly where the boulder bounces don't go as well for the attackers, and also provides very little electro dragon chain value. Now I see that I'm a little bit low on walls. I have 58 walls left, so I think that I need to really reinforce my top end of the base with my town hall. So as you can see here, I'm just creating a nice unwalkable town hall right now, and I'm just going to fill out these small little compartments with some single point defenses. As you can see here, I compromised yet again with the storage right there. That will provide great chain value for the electro dragons, but sometimes you just got to take the risk, and there's no perfect base out there, and it's just about compromising and getting the best base you can with what you have. I don't really like to put army camps on the corners of bases, so I like to put them on sides instead, just to make funneling a little bit harder for sometimes. I also like putting little channels on the side. I have this channel here just to block someone from going into that middle expo compartment that gains them access to 2 Inferno towers. You can see yet again I'm providing little to no zap value with that air defense there, and of course my trash buildings are placed in a way to prevent boulder bounces. Also, you can see that I put some of my expos and mortars on the outside of the base to prevent flame flingers from getting too much value. Now that I only have 3 walls left, I need to make a little compartment to protect my expo. So I decided to place it on the left side of the base, and now I'm just placing down my trash. So this, of course, doesn't matter too much. You never have to worry too much about trash, but I do like to put in the little more effort just to make sure that my trash is not providing too much chain value, because this can really slow down attackers and cause them to time fail if you place your trash efficiently. Now I'm just finishing this base up, cleaning it up a little just to make it look a little nicer, and also making sure that the chain value is not too prominent. I only have a couple of defenses left, so I'm gonna just place them on the outside of the base just to route troops a little further. I did this base really quickly, so there are a few flaws. For example, I didn't really think about pathing when I was creating this base, so there might be some great pathing for hogs or miners, and I didn't really think that through. But if you have more time, I really suggest you go into the details and make sure that hogs can be messed up on their pathing. Now I only have my Teslas left and my traps and one more hero, so now I'm deciding where to put these things. So as you can see, it takes a little while to choose where to put what, but I end up putting my minion prints on the right just to make things a little more difficult for people trying to get some good value out of the expos and the inferno towers there. I'm also putting giant bombs in that channel as I covered before, and spring traps in tight little holes. Spring traps in great value positions. I create a double giant bomb on the bottom just to prevent some witches, and also a double giant bomb a little bit away from that bomb tower just to cause havoc when they're not healing or not suspecting it. I also put a giant bomb next to the tornado trap just to help out a little if the tornado trap does catch some ground troops. And I'm putting a red air mine farm kind of in the middle next to the eagle, and I'm just scattering my black air mines around the base next to key defenses and air defenses. So I finally find a place to put that last seeking air mine. I decide to put it a little bit more on the outside of the base next to that eagle. So hopefully someone who's trying to queen walk that gets cooked by that black air mine. Now I'm putting some skeleton traps down next to the eagle artillery to kind of stall for time while the eagle artillery shoots a few more shots, and one next to the town hall to also stall for time. Now I'm just filling in some gaps with the spring traps, and I do like to place spring traps near bomb towers because sometimes if people are healing, the spring traps hit them off anyways, so you can't really heal a thing that's been spring trapped. Also, I'm placing bombs 2 tiles away from the walls to prevent from wall breakers breaking in, and now all I have left are my Teslas. So right now I'm thinking about having a few Teslas in a Tesla farm together somewhere, but also 1 or 2 off to the side, just to make things a little harder for people and a little more annoying. Sometimes I do run a troll Tesla in the corner, and I have had people time fail because of it, but it's not super recommended. It is funny sometimes though. So I have 2 of my Teslas on the outside just to bother people in case of flame flinger value, I think, in this case. And now I'm deciding where to put my last 3 as a nice little farm. So I put them at the top right just to mess up with people who are going and trying to get that town hall and then that other inferno tower. So this is my complete base. Hope you liked it. Hope you enjoyed. And if you learned something from my guide, please like